so I got John and Frank in studio today to kind of recap and just kind of, I tried to give Frank a beer, but he's in there with the squirt. But I thought, what the heck? Kind of back where we started.
What's he got in the squirt? You got some vodka in there?
Give me a beer.
All right.
Fuck the squirt.
There's a koozie right there, Frank. So John, go back all the way, like 300 episodes. I was thinking, we've been doing this for like 5 years, right? This is like the year 7 for real. Like 2000, we started in 2018 January.
Yeah.
And then, like, just do the math. I'm like, it's like 5 seasons, like whatever. Like, no, it's like a long ass time.
Yeah, long. And I've been gone for the last year and a half at least.
Yeah. Well, that's where I get the 5 number. It's 5 with John. It's been a solo venture for a little bit.
Now it's just the Adam podcast.
And then, but do you remember when we started?
I remember like the first one. Yeah, it was like.
But I mean, how it even like came about? Because I
remember. Yeah, because you called like, hey, what do you think doing a podcast? I'm like, yeah, I've been listening to a bunch of them, but
I think I'd really be good at talking on the microphone.
Yeah, not me.
No, you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
John was all in. He was saying, yeah, I'd love to talk about things for hours.
Yeah, right. And then it's, right, John? Yeah.
But, when it comes down to it, and the people that know me that we've met through the podcast, like we're at ATA or any of the get-togethers, when we start talking bow thing, technical stuff, then, like you said, you can't shut John up at that point. But when I'm not good at interviewing people or asking people questions, I listen. So that's where I get my, collect my knowledge is, from the people that know what they're talking about. And then if it's something I know what I'm talking about, then I'll talk. But
well, somebody's got to ask the questions to the people to get the information.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. But I was trying today to like go back to that time to be like, yeah, I think we could do this. Let's do that. And I was like, I have no idea. Like,
then cause a family feud.
And then it would. I can't even. Oh yeah, that was interesting time.
That's when we had 5 listeners and they were all family members.
Yeah.
They already knew
They knew the whole story.
Right.
They knew what was going on.
They already knew the story. So any of you that want some information, just go back to the first 2 episodes. There's a hidden gem in there.
And what about you, Frank? Because you're like, I think when we started this, you didn't even know what a podcast was.
No, hell no. I didn't know what a podcast was, But it's pretty incredible, really, I mean, I give you guys a lot of credit for what you've accomplished, and
what Adam's accomplished.
Well, how far you've gone. I mean, we all had a hand in it for a while, but it was just like, man, Adam's got so much knowledge, you know what I mean? And he answers or asks the questions, and gets the right answers and stuff, where, I'm just, I'm around, I think it's really cool, though. I think it's a hell of a deal,
Yeah, looking at the setup now, like we got cameras every which way. I'm looking at 4 different cameras right now.
They're not below the table, are they? I just had my hand there.
Microphones, all that going from. I mean, we're still on a Craftsman workbench, though.
Yeah.
Not much different than the one we started on.
Yeah, and this is a door that I cut down and covered. So
A really heavy one, I might add, too.
Yeah. So I mean, we still got our roots, But I for me, I just think back of like, I don't think anything necessarily would have been any different as far as the I guess I want to say like the people that we are or whatever, but like the amount of like knowledge I've gained and experiences I've had, and especially like think about like how many states I've hunted in and animals and all different things. I mean, like, I think all these deer on the wall except for John's came from during the podcast. And like, I mean, I never found a shed before any of the podcasts, any of that stuff. Like, just, you know, when I'm asking the questions and getting that knowledge or whatever, like, being able to go out and apply it, or at least have it in my mind when I go out and I'm standing there. Because, I mean, I could, you know better than anybody else, John. Like, I could hunt with Frank a lot, in as much as I could, but like Frank isn't necessarily able to articulate well, I just walked down and I saw a tree and that was the tree. Like, what was it? And it's like, I don't know, I just got to a point and I was like, I'm gonna kill a buck out of this tree.
Right.
Like,
what were you looking for? I don't know, that tree.
That tree, right?
there was a runway and it was getting kind of light out. Like, that was the tree, you know. So like, I'm not discounting that.
I understand what you're saying.
I'm just saying, like,
I understand.
like to have more, I guess, like, people in my head, or more to like pull from, I guess.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The pool of knowledge.
Right.
But I can tell you this, like, we were talking about it with these bow builds and stuff, that I need to get more well versed in not the bow tuning, because I know, I'm like, I feel like I'm one of those people now that's, like, I guess the people that we all hate about with deer hunting, right? Like, the guy that knows it all, but he doesn't do it. Like, I can tell you why it's tearing right or tearing left or, like, what to do, but I don't know how to,
Right.
I don't know how to put it in the press and
That, I mean,
take the string and do all that, you know?
there's a lot of guys that do that. I mean, that, like, hey, I don't have time, just get my bow tuned, and I'm gonna go kill some shit with it.
Yeah, but the thing is like, we have, especially with the club, have all the access to do all that, so there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to do some of it myself.
Right.
Even, you know, we had a guy, Shane, he just went and had somebody retie his D-loop, and there was no soft knocks, and there was no marks on the string, and then he went and tried to do our one-shot challenge, and I'm like, oh, did you tie in soft knocks? Did you have marks? You know, like I said, I know all the stuff,
Right.
but I you know, I'm not doing it. You know, that's not.
Well, that's what I'm for.
Yeah, I know. Like, I can set all this shit up, but I can't do that. But I've learned so much about, like, arrow flight, and I mean, it's not that I did well at all this weekend shooting at this 3D shoot, but I was shooting the hinge, and I was making my shots, and I'm fairly certain, like, I know enough now to know that, like, my problem in making a good shot at this moment is all in the execution of my release. Like, when I make a bad shot or when something goes sideways, it's because of my anchor point and moving my hand too much, not just moving. Like, if I just relax my index finger and let it shoot, like, I can break a clean shot. But when I don't do that, the arrow goes left or right or whatever. But I mean, I was shooting. We were shooting this past weekend, and the next podcast that I have, we recorded one there. But like, Brad had never shot 3D, or even like at like 3D targets or anything like that. So this was a regular, like, a 4Bs type course. And like, if you get to a 3D course or even the Total Archery Challenge and there's nobody around on this shot or that shot, what do? You see a target over there at 90 yards. You're like,
I can hit that.
I can hit that. And so I was shooting at like a javelina or a hog at 108 yards. I'm like, I think I can get that. You know, and you know, hitting it 1 out of 3 arrows. You know, I shot a turkey at, I don't know, 90 yards, 98 yards or something. And he's just like, what are you doing? I'm like, there's nobody around. Like, it's safe. Like,
Right.
Why not? There's a target over there.
That's what's fun.
I know. I'm like, and that's just, I feel like you guys, like the people that I roll around with, like when we go to these things, like if you go out to the club and there's nobody around and you're like, You think I can hit that from here? Like, how far is that? How far is that?
Are you going across the road?
At TAC too, like,
Yeah.
what's that one over there? Oh, it's like 110.
I'm gonna shoot it.
Yeah.
Like you're walking up to one, and it's like you're like, is that our target? Oh, I'm shooting it from here. I'm 100% shooting it from here. And like I say, like prior to any of this, like we did go up to the Total Archery Challenge, but I think it like, changed some things. But like, I don't know. Like I think it's really expanded like my mind as far as like archery and all that stuff. And like I'm more on the gear side than the hunting side than like the nerd side of it.
Right.
Like I'll just throw money at something, right? So I don't know. But like for you, I guess I'll ask both of you this question. I'll start with Frank though. Like in this time frame, like what do you think has been the biggest change as far as like what you've seen in hunting, whether it's attitudes or equipment or styles from even just the last 7 years and not your entire career?
I know that the technology with the equipment and stuff has changed dramatically. The saddle hunting that you guys do, just the distances that guys are shooting with bows now. I mean, I never shot, I killed a deer at 50 some yards, without a sight, but that was guesswork, and this is crazy, to shoot 100 yards, 120 yards, 150 yards, that's nuts, I would have never, comprehended that before, when you've never tried it, but it's everything. I think that's come through the podcast though is about learning about the whole thing, not only just the bows and the shooting and the equipment, the tree stands, but food plots and things like that, everything, that we've attractants, everything that you've covered, has made an impact, I think, on me,
As far as technology, what's your take now from like a global perspective, like long term, right? It's like since the day you started hunting to today on like the cell cams.
Oh, that's, unreal. It's unbelievable. You put them out, man. My buddy's sending me pictures all the time from Ohio,
So do you think it's like good for hunting or bad for hunting
you
hunters?
It's hard to say. So many people target big bucks, they, supposedly, with their cameras, yes, we've had this one on camera 27 times, but here's the thing. We've put cameras out, never seen this buck before because he doesn't go in front of the camera, or whatever, but he's there, he ends up maybe getting killed or maybe somebody sees him, but, it's that kind of thing, you can rely on the camera too much, I think, you have to still, keep the skills there, that you've went in there with, don't lose context with that,
What do you think, John? Like both in the span of like the last 7 years or however long we've been doing this.
So Frank kind of touched on it, but the biggest thing like is the saddle, and
But those aren't new, right?
right,
we
but
knew
that
they existed.
yeah, but just the re-implementation of them, like with tethered, obviously they were like the leaders coming back out and getting everyone, in the saddle group or the forums and stuff, and they even got me, like, we've said this 100 times, like when you first got that first saddle, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing in that diaper? Like, yeah, I ain't getting in one of those. And then it came down to where, obviously
One sit.
and I'm like, yeah, screw them tree stands, man, I'm in. And so that was huge, for me, and just, an eye-opener. Obviously the equipment, the bows have just gotten better and better. It's incremental at this point. But the touching on the cell cam, obviously, I have one cell cam that just sits at my property. Well, it sat at my property up north for 2 years. Now it's at my new house. So I don't, that's not part of my arsenal. But thinking about the people that, there's the different groups that put out a bunch of cell cams, they'll use it, get an inventory, and then you hear stories about the guys that have them out and they're like, he's here now. Like, go out. I think we kind of talked about before, like how Frank shot, the one, or had it, he's in his underwear. Like, what's the difference between the two? Well, there's a big difference. Obviously, you can't be in 10 different places at one time, but your cameras can. So, and then it comes to also, like, when we first started out, we had Onyx. And that was like, holy cow, this is a game changer. And then we went to Basemat. And then they added some really cool, features to it and made it even better. And then now, we're running Spartan Forge, which I haven't used much, but...
Now it's got LiDAR, so you can see every bump in the curvature of the earth.
Yeah, so...
And, yeah.
So just, and that happened to a couple spots that we hunted, like, our family has hunted for years, and now all of a sudden there's new guys coming into the mix, and it's like, well, how do you find this? Well, Onyx, so it's kind of making the hunting smaller, like, it's making it even harder, I think, to the point. And then even these podcasts, we're putting out so much information, or you are, it's taming the curve. The guys that really want to learn how to hunt need to listen to these kind of podcasts, and it's gonna cut that learning curve way down.
Oh yeah.
You can't substitute time in the woods, but if you have the knowledge listening to these, it's gonna cut down. Okay, like you've done it yourself. Like, that's why they're doing this, or see it now. You know it because you talk to Andy May, or you talk to all these guys that kill these big bucks and spend all this time in the woods and learned it. Now you're shortening the learning curve for the new guys, even older guys.
Yeah, I guess that's like I guess what I see is the difference there is that, like, I guess when I feel like I do it, like, it is not. I'm not saying that this is everybody, but I think that there's so much, like, ego in hunting, and, like, I'm really, like, on the Dan Infalt mindset of, like, it's me against myself, not the Greg Litzinger mindset of it's fuck everybody else, I'm gonna go in and kill the buck that you can't. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm just going, like, what I was doing wasn't working. These guys seem to have it figured out. Like, they can't just be the luckiest guys in the world.
Right. What can I do to change it up to get a little better?
But I also feel like, we were talking about it when we were driving around this weekend. Like, I would rather go in blind and see a buck than set a camera and have one in there, because it's like, it is like the validation of, like, being right. Like, I would rather be right than kill the deer. And then that's like, I obviously want to be successful, but, like, knowing that I went to the spot and it all, like, lined up, right? Because, we're all gonna make bad shots. We're all gonna, shit's gonna go wrong. Like, the wind's gonna be wrong, like, whatever. But just knowing that I thought the deer was gonna be here on this day, but he was, and the wind was wrong, and I got busted, or whatever. There's so many things, but, like, I guess I'm at the point where, for me to be right is just as important as, like, killing the deer, because I'm not that confident.
That's what I've been explaining to you for so long. I've been right 1,000 times and killed 2 of them sons of bitches.
Yeah. To that point, like, I get what you're saying. That's I don't use cameras in the woods. When I do get to hunt, I like to just go out and try to find a spot. But I'm not like Andy May or Greg Litzinger. I'm not putting hundreds and hundreds of hours in scouting and finding these bucks or these areas. I mean, it's like what you're saying. If you do the homework, you're going to be putting that camera in the right place. So what guys are doing that, they're trying to do that to find like the buck that they want to kill.
Yeah, but I think like, and I've said it a bunch. I'm going to say it again, and I guess it's like I'll just go on record. And I said it over the weekend. Like, I guess I want someone to call me out on it, really, because I think that we need. One of the things that I don't do well is hunt in state like I hunt out of state. I don't in state, and we're all guilty of it for the most part, is we prioritize our time differently. So when I'm out of state, I got nothing else except for that. So I prioritize my time, and it's not time in the stand. It's I want to go and find the best sign and put myself on top of that best sign instead of like I can run over here real quick for a hunt tonight. Right. And then, you know, as far as like how it lines up, like, oh, I hunted this many sits. Well, half of those sits were bullshit sits because you were just trying to get in a tree.
Right.
And I think in 2018 was like the only year I tagged out in Michigan, but that's what I did. Is the same thing we did in Idaho. Was just I just ran every single piece of public ground that I could. And then it was like, okay, we need to be here. I need to be here. I need to do this. And, you know, it worked out just, you know, on a whim. But I didn't, like, waste a whole lot of time.
Right. I mean, when we're in our home state, obviously it's like what you're saying. I got, where can I go? I got an hour to get to where I'm going to hunt. Yeah. And it's, you know, like, just pick an old tree or like an old area. Not necessarily the same tree, whatever, but when we're out of state, it's a time crunch. Like, we got 7 days to find deer and kill a deer or get on deer, you know. So, yeah, and then you have nothing else in that time frame. You're not going to softball practice. You're not, you know. It's just 100% focus on killing the deer. So.
But I think like along with that, like one thing that like parallels that, and I think a lot of guys, and some of them in the Patreon group too, is they prioritize, and I've done it, like the cell cam picture, because you're like, okay, I got him on this pattern, like da 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 da, like, or even worse is, and I did it last year, and I mean the biggest buck that I ever have had on camera in this one area was there that day. And I told myself, I said, I know that I need to be there. I've got the right wind. I've got good access. Like, I had stuff on the camera that was going on, so there was deer actively using the area, but it wasn't like, oh, I gotta go chase this buck. And then it was like, oh, I don't know, it's a long drive. It's hard to get back in there. I'm gonna go here closer to home. And then, boom, big buck on that camera. Yeah. Like, right when I was sitting in a dumb place. But the opposite of that is you're chasing a picture. So what did I do the next day? I'm like, I gotta be there the next day. And I sat for 4 hours in a rainstorm, didn't see anything, soaked to the bone. Went to another spot, forgot my shoes. Like, so I had to go find my shoes. Like, you know, just dumb. Just dumb. But we're chasing that picture instead of like
getting on hunt.
Well, you gotta be,
but understanding, like, I knew where I needed to be the day before.
Right.
You know,
you have to be in that spot. You know, yeah, you, and that's where, you know, those cameras, you know, like I say, they can dick you in a way. You know what I mean? So it's just you gotta put in the time. You know, you gotta hunt there. You gotta hunt those spots. You know, you gotta be careful you don't blow them out of there, but you know, you still gotta be there.
So for John, as the brainchild, the brain trust of this podcast, the guy who, you even said, like, that's how I know stuff, is because I listen, right? So what have you learned? Like, what's one of the biggest takeaways that you've had, like, over this time period?
Well, one thing that's, like, and I think I've said this before, like, the consistent takeaway from the the guys that kill the big bucks consistently, those guys put all their free time into the woods. They know where the big bucks are in fall. Well, I got 30 trees. You know, he knows all these different spots. Andy May's got all these, you know, spots. Litzinger, he's out. He's posting pictures of him out scouting. You know, right now, doing all that, putting up. But that's what they're dedicated to. They're going out to kill those big bucks. And my takeaway is, like, if I really wanted to, you know, consistently go out and kill big bucks, I'm gonna have to
Quit building houses.
and you know
That's all I'm saying.
yeah, just go out and hunt.
Oh, that's what you got to do, dude.
But I mean, those guys are. I mean, they're a whole different breed, really. I mean, when it comes down to it.
And do you? My question is, do you really want to dedicate that much of your time in your life to that? You have to really be, you know, focused and driven to do that. You know, that's what these guys are. You know, you can go out and kill deer. You know, and some people are happy with that. You know, me being one of them. You know,
Me too. Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, I just like getting out in the woods. I mean, you've seen some of the videos that, like, I didn't like go to the UP, seen some nice bucks, but I just like getting out in the woods and hunting, seeing deer. You know, I love to eat deer, but I'm the only one now in my family, you know, in my household that eats, you know, venison.
just tell your wife that it's chicken.
Some dark chicken. She took a bite of a backstrap one time.
I can't believe that she doesn't want them every day.
Oh, she spit it right out. But yeah,
But I think that would be. I think I would view that through a different. I would turn that 180 and say, since I'm the only one that's eating these deer, I should make it a goal to go out and shoot the biggest, to find the biggest one to do that, because it's a. I mean, I guess, like, for me, and you know, you guys are on a much different level, but, like, I'm confident that I can go out and find a deer to kill, but finding a racked buck to kill has never been my strong suit. But that's not the first 10 years that I ever hunted was just go out, sit here, and there's deer crawling like spiders, and just shoot one when they come by with a rifle, you know.
right.
And then you pick and choose and learn along the way and stuff like that. And then hunting with Frank, I was able to be like pick up on different nuances and stuff like that. But Frank's always been a deer hunter. Like, he can kill a buck and anywhere, in somewhere that doesn't have any deer, you know.
Right.
But for me, that was never the case. So that's why I'm trying to, like, find a 3-year-old buck or 2.5-year-old buck or something, because the rest of them, it's become easier for me. But Stella likes to eat it. Casey likes to eat it. Like, it's, when I do stuff like that, that's not a big deal. Well, now flip that on its head, and it's like, if I was the only one eating deer, and
Might as well kill the biggest.
might as well,
Right.
put in a little bit of different effort. And it's not like you don't know where to go. I mean, you can go hunt with Jason, and
Right.
you can break that down in 30 seconds. Like, I look at that on the map, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of Jason's area. I probably shouldn't go poking around up there.
Yeah, and we've done that. I mean, and I've seen some big bucks up there, and in the little bit of time I've put in, and I mean, yeah, and there was another one that was just north of here that I was putting some time in on, and I'm confident I can go find a big buck. I just haven't dedicated the time. Like, obviously.
In when I hunt now, like here in Michigan, I would probably be a little more choosy on what I shoot, you know. You'd have to have at least 3, you know. So, but I shot this, you know, this is probably one of the best seasons I've had in a while last year. And I killed 3 does last year, you know, 2 with my bow and 1 with a muzzleloader. And I'll tell you what, I was a happy man, you know. I had a great season, you know. I had an opportunity at a couple of nice bucks, you know. Screwed up on one of them, you know, but they were nice deer, you know. But hey, it ain't gonna break my heart to eat that meat. I can tell you that right now. You know, I love it.
And just for like completeness sake, just because like I think we're gonna get to a point where I'm not gonna realize it, kind of like what happened when I was in Colorado with my dad. Like, how old are you?
Me?
Yeah.
71. I'll
Yeah.
be 72 in October.
Because like when I was in Colorado and I was hunting with my dad, like big bull, and I took off running. And I'm like, we just got to get over this hill and you can shoot him with a rifle. I guarantee it. And I turned around and he was like just getting out of the tree. Just getting out of the blind. Like wherever we were underneath this tree. And I was like at the top of the ridge and I'm like, look back. And that it was at that moment that I realized that my dad was a lot older than me. You know?
Well, and the thing is, I get out of bed in the morning and I realize I'm a lot older too. You know what I mean? That's the thing, you know. It ain't, I'll tell you.
But here's the thing: there's a lot of guys that are in their 60s that aren't even hunting like you, and you're in your 70s still out there.
Yeah. And I, you know, and like I say, I can't keep up with either one of you guys even walking. You know what I mean? But I give it my best shot. Yet, you know, it might take me a little longer.
70 years old, he's up on the roof throwing shingles at me. I mean, come on.
You know, it's like I try to stay at it, you know, as much as I can, you know, and I love it. I love it all, you know, all the bullshit that we do together and stuff, you know, I love all that, you know, but the hunting part of it, man, I don't know, man, until I can't do it anymore, you know.
Yeah, and what I think is great, Frank, I mean, I guess, was there a time, like, back in your youth where it was when you were 17 or 35 or 50 where there was any like ego involved, or like you were trying to kill the bigger deer than so and so? I think the wall of mutants say no.
No, no, it was just, you know, I think it was more numbers back then than anything, you know, but, you know, we could shoot deer, you know, but it was like, you know, I just, if a big one come by, you know, okay, you know, if it didn't, you're next, you know, that's all there is to it, you know.
So in that manner of thinking, and you killed a lot of deer with a gun and killed, you know, just as many with a bow, but what went into like your choosing your spots? Because now we look at it as like, oh, you know, whereabouts bedding and blah 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 and all this, you know.
I think my spots were basically like, you know, I would, if there was food sources or something, that would be, you know, like acorns or whatever, you know. We hunted the big oaks all the time, you know.
Right.
So I mean, if we had acorns, that was a plus. Or if you were near farm fields, you know, or whatever. But I just got between the food source and the bedding, knew that there was going to be deer traffic there, you know what I mean? And then as far as doe traffic, you know, during the rut, that's what you're looking for, you know. That's what I always just kind of looked for, you know.
I think we said this before. Like, I remember when I was little hunting with these guys, and it'd be hours of just driving around on the 2 tracks, looking at runways.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Then my dad would be like, "Get out and brush that over. Like, get a pine bough, brush that. Don't go on seeing them tracks." You know.
Well,
But that was like, you know, looking for the deer movement. So it wasn't as much like, I never heard anything about bedding back then. It was just like the deer, they're
Deer crossing here.
crossing
Deer
here.
crossing here. So,
Food sources
you know,
out here.
Yeah. So you need to be, you know, here.
well, and that's what's crazy about this whole thing and all that is like, I think when I started dating Casey, like Frank was your age, John. So, like, and that's what we would do. And so I was young, and I was I'm still the same to this day. Like I'll still do whatever and still go hunting, but like I would be so hungover. I would have like 30 minutes of sleep, and I'd go over to Frank's. We would get in the car and I'd sleep to wherever we were going. So like I never knew. Like I like had zero idea of like where I was at, you know, because you've been around him enough, and we all have that uncle or dad or like Matt, who we hunted in Colorado with. His buddy's dad, Tom, who we hunted in Colorado with, is Frank Ackerberg. He's like, well, so you go down there and there's a red truck, and then you know old man so and so used to live here. Will you turn there? Remember we hunted there? It was one time it was dark and then it got light and then there was deer. Like, no, Frank, I was hungover or still drunk from the ride up. I slept in the car, and that's what we did all the way home from wherever we were at. Was like, we're gonna go check here. And then we would go and wander around, and we'd get back in the truck, and I'm like hungover. I'm like, I just want to get home. Like, please just get home. I'm trapped in this vehicle. And you know, now that's how all these guys they're so solely focused on tracks, looking for. I mean, we didn't look for big. We'd say, okay, that's a big track, but it wasn't like we're taking notes. You know, I wasn't writing in a journal or anything like that.
My old man, he would look at like the tracks, like, oh, it's a big track.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then he would sit though. He would sit on the road and just watch that road, you know. He said, Frankie, that deer crossed at 10:30 this morning. Big buck crossed 10:30 right there, you know, right by that oak tree right there, you know. And I don't know how countless times we did stuff like that, you know.
Well, I remember that. Like, I remember those times. I remember your dad in that van doing all that same stuff.
Oh yeah.
And like that's what I was hoping that Frank was going to do for the Patreon hunt, because I'm like, I know these deer cross this road, but I just can't be there. You know, I'm like, you got shit else to do. Just go up, sit there at the end of the road, drink some coffee.
Now it's
and channel John Boersma.
cell cams now, right?
Yeah, we just had your dad.
Yeah.
But
We had the old man cell cam.
Yeah, really.
Dad, where are the bucks? Oh, there's one over here on 69th Street.
Yeah.
You know.
well, but so what I find myself doing now, and it's, I mean, you talked about like Onyx, Spartan Forge. I mean, I was coming home from work the other day, driving home, and I'm driving back roads, and I'm driving home at 7:30, quarter to 8. You know, there's turkeys on the side of the road. I know they're gonna roost somewhere, and I'm just pinning them as I'm driving. And then I got back home, and I'll be God, you know, God dang if they ain't both them spots are public, and I'm like, all right, game on, you know. And I do that with deer all the way all summer up to, you know, Big Star and back, like where we're hunting for a Patreon hunt and all that stuff. Everywhere I'm driving around, if I see a deer, like I'm pinning it, and then I'll make a decision like why were they there, where were they going, what was the deal. So that's it's like the balance of the old school and the new school, and I think, you know, that's what's interesting about like the timing of all of this and how it's all going, because you know I'm watching in real time, like guys like myself learning, you know, from just digesting all this information, and then these adult onset hunters, these guys that grab onto this, and then it's their new, like, I guess I would be like almost like somewhat envious, right? Because it's their new passion, and you know when something is new, and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna get all this information, and then I'm gonna execute on it, and I'm not gonna focus on anything else. Whereas like for us, it's like, man, I've been hunting so long that like this is just what we do, but then we fall into that, like those old lazy habits, like, oh, we're just gonna go run over here for a half hour, even though we know we're not gonna see anything. But
I know what I should do, but
yeah,
I know this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Old habits. You just falling back into old habits. But
The biggest thing I think about nowadays too, though, is guys trying to make time. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, I think there's so much emphasis on your jobs and home life and stuff like that. You know, Whereas,
You were just like, fuck those kids, I'm going hunting.
yeah, you know,
Oh shit! I didn't see my dad.
you know,
I was like,
I'm just going.
my old
There
man.
was wars, dude. I mean,
My old man would be like during hunting season, and then all of a sudden be fishing. Like, oh, it's summer. There's nothing going on. Dad's here. You know. Like, and then
it was nothing for his dad, dude, to drive from Florida to the UP in a motorhome, thousands of miles. You know what I mean? And he'd hunt for 2-3 days, and the next thing you know, yeah, he's back in Florida again. But
yeah.
no, our times of, you know, when I was first married, you know, and kids were little and stuff, it was, you know, my wife and I, you know, it was like, is that all you do is hunt and fish? And I said, yep. You married me. You knew what I did, you know. So, in work, you know, but it got to be, you know, a little more relaxed, you know, the older you get and stuff. Now it's just like, yeah, you're going, okay, see ya.
Go fishing. Why don't you?
When you coming back? Well, you can stay an extra week or two. I don't care. You know.
And so that's what I try to explain to people is like, you know, like this year I'm going to Colorado, and it wasn't, my wife wasn't like mad about it or anything. She was just like, where are you going now? And I'm like, well, I'm going with your dad. And same thing last time. I think the last time I went to Colorado, she's like, oh, I mean, my dad's going, so I mean, I guess. So
Right.
it's just
Take care of his ass.
yeah, yeah. I mean, at that time, that was the only elk you'd see in the woods. So
Right.
you
And I talked to my wife a while back. We were kind of discussing things, and I said I'd really like to do a big, you know, kind of a bigger hunt. You know, the older I'm getting, you know, I'm not going to be able to, you know, do this stuff. You know, I don't know for how long. You know. Well, she goes, well, how big? You know, and I says, I don't know, maybe something in Texas. You know. How much? She's going, you know, and I says, we'll discuss that later. I said, but I would really kind of like to see if we could organize something like that, you know, us guys, you know.
yeah, it depends on how much. Because if we're talking, like, I don't know. I know that there's some pretty inexpensive,
Yeah.
like, moose hunts in Canada. They're not the big moose, but it's still
A moose.
Miniature moose or what?
well, it's not the 60-inch moose.
No, I don't need.
Mice mooses.
Maybe one-sided moose?
It's the 1/3.
It's the 1/3.
Yeah. Reinhardt.
Yeah.
Go to the Reinhardt.
So I would love a hunt like that too, you know.
Yeah, I mean, because I have like if I was gonna go and hunt Texas, I would want to hunt just hogs.
I think we can go see the ranch ferry.
Yeah.
But I would just as soon hunt hogs than like go down there and I wouldn't give two shits about shooting a deer in Texas like
No,
off
maybe
a ranch or something.
Was it the Neil guy or whatever? Those would
Yeah.
be. I mean, but a hog. That when I think of going to Texas, I think of shooting hogs.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
like
Oh,
I
that's-
don't want
I
to go
I
like
don't-
do the Jeff Foxworthy thing where you sit in the. Or
The-
well, I mean, who's the dude with the Larry Weishan or whatever? Like, that would be fun. You know, give me some leather gloves. I'd draw camel.
Yeah, right.
Just
Got the
grab
yellow
all
gloves
the-
on all the time, man. I'm going like, man, that dude's got them yellow gloves. You
He's
know?
probably got more money than God, and he's like, I'm gonna use my ranch gloves.
Yeah, but it reminds me of foghorn leghorn, you know.
we want to talk boy.
Look at my face when I'm talking to you, son.
But I mean, like I say, for me, like that's what I think about. Like, if I was gonna spend any exorbitant amount of money, I'm telling you for real, that the hunt that we did, we need to find a hunt like the hunt that we did in Colorado, where you know it costs a little bit of money, but to do a spike camp where they just go and drop you off,
Yeah.
and then you got whatever amount of time. They do that for bow and whatnot. And yeah, it's gonna cost a little bit of money, but it's not. I mean, I was paying for the experience, right? Like,
Right.
and I 100% got my money's worth. And it was way different, I would imagine, because you've hunted at you've been on guided hunts, Frank.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure you had a ball. You got kind of screwed over on one of them, I think, right? But
A little bit, but I mean, other than that, yeah.
and the other one, you missed the biggest deer you've ever seen in your
Yes.
whole life at 20 yards.
Yes.
Broadside.
Yes.
Right. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, you can't stick it in any farther than that. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, you know.
Can't make it any clearer there.
No, it's pretty clear there. You know,
So you would have gotten your money's worth. Would have been a great thing.
I still got my money's worth. Don't get me wrong. I had enough fucking clay on my shoes, you know. I could have played in the garden when I come home.
Figures size 13s were like size 23s. It looked like, it was like Bigfoot out
Oh,
there.
that's some bitch of Sasquatch right there. It's Sasquatch tracks.
Frank, it looks like he's got friggin' snowshoes on. It's all clay.
Guy turned to me when I got back up there after dark. He goes, "How come you're so tired?" I said, "Look at what I'm carrying with me."
40 pounds of clay on each foot.
But to that point, you know, like what we did was, it was guided, but sit here or there or there. We'll be back in 5 days. Like it wasn't like, you know, well if you shoot him, it's going to be another 4,000.
Yeah, because
Right.
you know my experience now, you know, with out there in Colorado, you know, we hunted out of that house the first year, and then 2 years we did camps, you know, and then last year we hunted, you know, where we had accommodations, you know, and land. And I think this year you'll see that it's gonna be, you know, weather was a real bitch last year. You know what I mean? It was so hot, and you know it was terrible.
Well, back in 2020, it was really, that's when you guys got the snow and then
That's
snow.
when it snowed up.
Yeah,
And
yeah, we got snow right off the mountain.
Wasn't it smoke?
All
then?
smoke too, yeah.
Yeah, because that's when I was in Montana.
Yeah. But, you know, all in all, you know, I mean, I haven't drawn my bow back, you know. This will be I think, the 5th year, you know. But I enjoy the experience, you know. The camps were fun, you know, and that'd be kind of like a drop camp, but I haven't been in a drop camp yet, you know, but that would be cool, you know.
But I mean, if you put like the ego and like the bravado aside, and I'm basically talking to John here, but you know, how much money do you have in hunting in Montana or Colorado, and you haven't drawn your bow, and you know, so we've been to Idaho, you've been to Montana, like the cost of these hunts by the time you add up to your success, whenever it be, you know, you could probably stake that $5 or $7 grand, do, you know, a guided or semi-guided hunt, like the moose hunt, like we're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd regret it. You might look at that moose and be like, well, you know, I didn't do it myself, but.
Well, something like that, like even, like
I don't know anything about moose hunting, you see, so.
No,
Well, yeah.
exactly.
It'd be very difficult.
This might sound odd, but like one hunt that I'd really like to do is I would like to go up to Alaska and caribou hunt. Like,
Yeah. Well, you just want to shoot something at.
Yeah, 150 yards, you know.
no, I want to see.
I told you I could get him at 150.
Just something about. I mean, and those like, I don't know if you can even. I mean, you can do an unguided hunt, but you know,
You gotta have
something.
a native or whatever, somebody who lives there to go with you.
Right. In which, I mean, we know people in Alaska. I mean,
Right.
But that's the. I feel like those hunts, because my grandpa's had done them in like Newfoundland,
Mm-hmm.
and he shot too. But I mean, again, this is a peek into my childhood. Like we'd go out and lay on the log pile, and there was elk racks, and then there was caribou, and there was all sorts of stuff. And the caribou seemed like smaller, but when he ended up going up there, he said that like they weren't on the big migration, and it was like open up your pocketbook and spend another $3,000 or whatever. And they'll put you in the helicopters, drop you
Right.
on the zone. So like that's the tough part about that is like if you're gonna do it as like a once in a lifetime hunt, like, and I think the way that the tethered guys did it is like they lived in a van or like one of those like overlanding things, and they just chased them, right?
Right. Well, they have it's the road. There's this road.
Yeah, the road.
And they catch them when they're crossing it. That's actually pretty. I think I've seen Chris B's video where the one year they went up there. No, I think the last time they flew in and it was like a drop off, and they killed a couple caribou. But something like that would be awesome. Like get flown in, dropped off. You got this area to hunt. We'll be back in 10 days if the weather lets us.
Yeah.
That would be. I mean, that to me, just being up there in Alaska would be cool. But the moose hunt, like what you're saying, I'm in for something like that.
When you mentioned Newfoundland, though, I've talked to Wilkes about that, and they definitely were talking about hunting Newfoundland.
Yeah. So like I said, like I know my grandpa went up there, and that's where he had shot caribou, and like he went to shot some bears in Canada and all sorts of stuff like that. Like, I mean, not Alaska, but Africa. I mean, so the thing is like talking to Billy, right? And we were just at the NWTF banquet, and like he said like go to Safari Club International or whatever, one of these things where they auction off one of them, and you can get your whole thing without transportation for nothing. But like I can't afford the taxidermy. Like that's the thing. Is like if you have a $10,000 taxidermy bill, you spend $2,500 on flights, $1,000 to get down there, and then I mean all the taxidermy stays there. They do it there. They crate all of it up and they ship it home. Like I couldn't afford the shipping on the taxidermy.
Can you ship me the horns?
Yeah.
Well, and like if we do the moose hunt, I'll mount them sons of bitches for you. You know what I mean?
You've been getting pretty good at it.
Yeah, I'm getting better at it.
So, Frank, now that we got you lubed up, episode 300, Tales of the Garbage Man, maybe like
I just don't. I don't know. I've been away from it for so long,
Yeah, like you don't have any.
But I did want to reiterate on a hunt that Johnny and I did that time. That we went up to. You were gonna go up to.
Yeah, like
Custer Road or whatever.
Going hunting tomorrow? Yeah, where are you gonna go? I'll go up to the Pines. I'll come with you. Like, all right. Where do you want us? I'll just get out.
We parked the truck, and he went this way, and he goes, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'll just go over here, So I go through the pines, and I get to the swale, and I'm going, "Ah, shit, it's getting daylight, Look to my left, and a little neck there, That tree looks good right there, Go climb the tree. About what, hour later, I shoot this buck, right? So I go back to the truck, What'd you see, John? I don't think you saw anything, did you? Or you saw some deer?
I seen a couple that crossed
the road there.
Yeah.
How'd you do, Uncle Frank? We gotta go get a buck over here. I shot a buck.
Like, what? Fucking clown. Walks in the dark and gets in a tree and shoots a deer.
Yeah, and if that was the only time it happened, it would be like, oh.
Right. No,
it was a regular occurrence, So, but Frank, you got to have something baking up there, or if you could, John's dad has since passed away, and you got 900 stories. The statute of limitations are all gone.
The old man
about like the state record steelhead or.
What about the salmon
up on the river?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. That'd be.
Have you guys? I mean, this could still be trouble.
No, that's long gone now.
Actually shot a fish with a bow, right? I mean, you know.
Well, where
You didn't shoot it.
this is
so
the thing. Like,
So what happened? Here's what happened. We're up there.
so what year is this? Just
Oh God, I don't know.
probably before I was born.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Yeah,
Well,
you-
Coleman was with us.
Okay.
So how old were you when Coleman was? Do you know?
Well, I was probably 10 then.
Okay. So
40 years ago.
yeah, so we're up on you know.
so Frank's 31 years old.
We're bow hunting, you know, in middle of the day, you know. Your old man said, let's run over here to the river, you know, Buck Creek, you know. So we go over there, you know, walk down there, and all of a sudden your dad goes, oh man, look at their fish right there on the bed, man. I'm gonna get my bow, man. So he goes back, gets his bow, right? And he's shooting an overdraw then with the blue, you know,
The blue arrow.
X7s. They're X7s, they were called. They were the best arrow you could buy back then,
Yeah.
as far as strength and stuff.
They were like an 1814 or something.
Yeah, but he was shooting them with an overdraw, so they're small arrows. So he goes in this
They're salmon.
distinct fletch too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and he shoots his fish and it takes off. You know, we don't think much of it. You know, so we fired around there a little bit. You know, so then we left. So next weekend, you know, this is a week. This is a week, dude. We go back. We walk down there, you know. Here's this damn fish on the bed. Arrows like, you know, like this, you know. I'm going, holy shit, you know. He goes, go get your bow. So I go get my bow, right? I'm shooting double X75s with 4 black fletch, okay? And I, right, almost hit his arrow, you know. Fish takes off, you know. Jesus Christ, you know, that's a tough fish, you know. So I just laid my bow down. I only had one arrow with me. I laid my bow down. So I'm going to get my rod. You know, I had my rod in the back of the blazer, you know. So I go back there and get my rod and stuff, you know. I'm over there, you know. And I'm farting around fishing, you know, and they're on the bank there, you know. And all of a sudden, your dad, he goes, there's a warden coming, he says, like that. And I goes, what? He said, just seen his badge shine over there, you know, crossing the creek.
That's how you know you've done some shit.
Right. So anyway, comes up there, sure as shit, man, 2 game wardens, you know. And they start questioning, you know, I knew the one, didn't know the other one. Your dad knew both of them, you
Of
know.
course.
So it was like, you know, we're sitting there, you know, talking, you know, and oh, you been doing a little fishing, eh? Yeah. Fly on, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't snagging or nothing. It did fly on, you know, yeah. Whose bow's that? Well, that's mine. What are you doing with the bow down here? I said, a little practice, you know. Lost my arrow. You know? So,
True story.
so anyways, you know, as your dad and the guy he really knew, you know, Eddie Britton was his name, they sit against these cedar trees with their back to the river. And I'm sitting there, you know, and Howard Cook goes downstream because there was a guy fishing downstream, you know, so he heads downstream, the game warden, the other one. And I'm sitting there, you know, and we're there bullshitting, you know, and all of a sudden I look, and here comes this son of a bitch up the river with the 2 arrows sticking out of it like this. They're like flags waving, I'm not shitting you. And I'm going, oh my God, you know, and I knew where she was going. She's going back to the bed, you know. And this ain't 10 feet behind these guys, you know. And I'm going, my heart's just sunk, you know. I'm starting to pick my shit up, and I'm going, Henry, I said, you know, if we're gonna hunt tonight, you know, we gotta get, you know, you know, and I'm just like, you know, like this, you know, grabbing my crap. And he going, man, what the hell's your hair, you know, and everything, you know, and they're, you know, they're still sitting against the tree, and there she is, right there behind them, you know, and I'm going, man, I said, I'm telling you, if we, you know, if we're gonna hunt that one spot tonight, we're gonna have to get in there a little early, and you know, I'm packing up, I'm leaving, you know, I'm heading across the creek, you know. So they both get up, And for some reason, he don't turn around. Then they start walking, you know. And they walked across the creek, and I'm throwing my shit in the blazer, you know, and we're getting in there, you know, and he's going, hey, Ed, you need to ride up the hill, you know? No, I'll walk, you know. I'm going, get in the goddamn truck, you know. He gets in there, you know, and he's going, man, what the hell's the matter with you? And I said, John, I said, that fish with both them arrows is sitting on the bed right behind. Oh my God, he said, drive up, let's get out. We took off, man, and I mean, we're
Like Dukes and Hazzard.
it was too. We're going down them roads, man, and he goes, I still don't see him back there. But that was, man. I mean, if you're ever gonna have a heart attack, that was it, dude. I mean, it was like, wow, it was nuts, and never, you know, heard nothing from him. But it was the only 2 arrows that you could identify. I mean, both of us. You know,
At least you didn't have another black one in your quiver, though.
yeah, right. they were like, no.
Yeah, let's go get Frank.
No, there was nothing in there. I just brought an arrow down there and shot it.
Right,
you know?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, there was no quiver.
Getting in trouble because your daughter's saying, hey,
Oh, sorry.
keep it down.
Keep it down. Nah, she'll understand with you, old man.
Yeah, I know. You know, honestly, like, this is one of the things about this podcast too, that it's like when you've passed on and Stella could watch this video of her grandpa talking about, you know, the shady things that he's done, they'll appreciate it, you know. So
It's like when she was over the house the other day. She came over, you know. I'd been pulling bushes out with the truck, you know, and I says, she didn't get over there in time, you know, and I says, yeah, I said, I was going to let you drive the truck, Stella, to pull them bushes out. Really? I said, yeah. She goes, well, let's do it now. I said, I got them all pulled out.
Let's pull that one.
Yeah, she was ready. You let me drive the truck? Yeah.
So I this is what we're gonna do. I got one more that I want, but I'm gonna save it because I don't think Frank would tell it on the real podcast, but I'm gonna get it for the Patreons. So I'm gonna post it up in the Patreon page, but we're gonna stop the real podcast right now. So because I know Frank will be like, oh, I can't tell that, but people gotta hear it. I want to have it documented. So for the people that have, you know, supported the show and everything for the last forever, you know,
300 episodes.
300 episodes.
You know, we appreciate the relationships that we've made more than anything else. I mean, it's been an incredible journey, and can't wait for the next 300 more. I mean, John said I just made him sign the thing tonight for another 300 episodes, and he's got to say at least one word on each one of them to fulfill his.
This is the most I've said. I mean, this is the most I've talked on an episode in a long time. So I got part of my quota in.
Right. So that's what we got for today. But we're gonna do a special Patreon caveat after this one. So check out our Patreon page. Thanks for listening.